Hey folks, I'm Tennessee Brando with the MeidasTouch Network. So Donald Trump has once again mocked John McCain. I'm sure you guys remember back when he said that he preferred soldiers who didn't get caught. John McCain was a prisoner of war, and that was Trump's response to that was, well, I like soldiers who didn't get caught. What a slap in the face and what an insult not only to John McCain, but to every POW who ever served. But for whatever reason, he can't let this go. 6 years after John McCain's passing, he's still taking jabs at John McCain. Check out this disgusting clip.
And we're going to fight for much better health care than Obamacare. Obamacare is a catastrophe. Nobody talks about it. You know, without John McCain, we would have had it done. But John McCain, for some reason, couldn't get his arm up that day. Remember? He goes that like that. That was the end of that.
John McCain, of course, struggled to raise his left arm after he was repeatedly tortured as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. That was, of course, a war that Trump avoided by receiving 5 questionable draft deferments.
The reason John McCain could not lift his arm very high in the air is because he was tortured in Vietnam. He was tortured during the Vietnam War, a war that Donald Trump weaseled his way out of and dodged service to altogether. Donald Trump says his personal Vietnam was dodging STDs. Now, I didn't vote for John McCain, and I didn't always agree with the guy, but I always had respect for his service. However, I remember a time back when he was running against Obama, I remember when I would disagree with him, Republicans would say to me, now, wait a minute, man, you be careful what you say about McCain. He's a veteran. He was tortured, man. He was a prisoner of war. You got to have respect for that. And I'd say I do have respect for that. I have immense respect for that. Absolutely. I just disagree with his politics. But they would always use that and say to me, can't say nothing bad about McCain now. You can't now. He's a veteran. And I'd say, I have nothing against that. I respect his service. I'm sorry he was tortured. I just disagree with his politics. But those same people that used to give me a hard time are the same people who sat back and allowed Donald Trump to say that he preferred prisoners who didn't get caught. And now they're giving him a pass again for poking fun at the fact that John McCain couldn't lift his arm. How low down and despicable will Donald Trump and these people become? Every time I sit down to make a clip, I say to myself, we're going to have to start seeing improvements eventually. It's going to have to start getting better, but it doesn't. It just keeps snowballing because Donald Trump came along and he took accountability and personal responsibility completely out of the Republican platform. It doesn't exist on their side anymore. They used to be the party of accountability, of personal responsibility, of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Now they do none of that. They do nothing but constantly dodge accountability. And they call themselves the party of the troops, the party of the military. How am I supposed to believe that they have respect for the military when they will give Donald Trump a pass for relentlessly poking fun at John McCain? How can I believe that they have respect for the military when they let him compare dodging STDs to Vietnam? How am I ever supposed to take them seriously about their respect for the military when he called dead soldiers suckers and losers? When he allowed bounties to be placed on American troops' heads? How can we sit back and take this guy seriously and believe that he cares about the military? And how can we believe that they care for the military if they will always give him a pass for it? I will never understand for the life of me why these people can't see through this. Because if you have a platform and you say this is what we stand on the side of, then people expect you to stand on the side of that. We here at MeidasTouch say that we stand on the side of truth and on democracy. Now let's just imagine, for just an argument here, that one of the creators just suddenly came out and started saying stuff that was factually not true. I promise you it wouldn't make it past the editing team. Someone would stop it and go, wait a minute, what this person's saying isn't true. And if someone started going against democracy, we here at MeidasTouch would say, you know, I don't know what's got into this one, but he's no longer on that side. We're going to have to call that out. It would get stopped in its tracks. And yet they continue to push this out there and give themselves a pass, give Trump a pass, give the January 6th insurrectionists a pass, give all the MAGA Republican politicians a pass for every idiotic thing they do and every idiotic thing they say. And then they expect us to take them seriously and believe that those are really the values that they hold. We don't believe that you really hold those values. I will say till my dying day that they're nothing more than a stage prop to you. The Republican Party has used veterans as a stage prop. They've used the military as a stage prop. They've used the American flag as a stage prop. And they use the Constitution and the Bible all as gimmicks and stage props for their character. But it's all an act. It's no different than watching the WWE back in the day when you had one guy carrying a snake to the ring and one guy carrying a 2x4 and one guy carrying a bird and one guy leading a bulldog. It's the same thing. That's what's infiltrated the Republican Party. There's just a bunch of gimmicks, but there's not a real fight going on. The only real fight is the fight that we're fighting to save democracy. We're trying to be a voice of reason in the middle of a mad world. And we keep calling this stuff out. And wouldn't you think that just once, maybe they would just give us one? Maybe just one. Maybe mocking a prisoner of war. You know, maybe they could just slap him on the wrist for that and say, don't say that again, Donnie. That was uncalled for. Could they at least do that? I have known some of the most dysfunctional families in the world that would still hold, they would at least have one standard, maybe just one, but they have none. They have no standards whatsoever. There's always a pass to be given to Donald Trump and to his followers and to anyone who tries to impersonate that shitty brand of politics. I didn't always agree with John McCain. If he was still with us, I'm sure I'd still be disagreeing with him. If he was still with us running for office again, I wouldn't vote for him again. But I have respect for his service to the country. And you would never hear me mock that. You would never hear me find a way to make a joke about that. We'll take politics off the table because you know why? When John McCain was being tortured, Democrat and Republican was not being brought up. It wasn't a Democratic issue. It wasn't a Republican issue. It was someone being tortured. And that's something to take very seriously. It's not something to take lightly, and it sure as hell ain't something to joke about. And somebody who was once president of the United States and always taking shots at people like that, wanting to be president of the United States again and continuing to take shots like that, it's absolutely disgraceful. So folks, be sure to keep hitting that subscribe button here on the MeidasTouch Network because we stand on the side of truth and democracy, and we stand on the side of having respect for men and women who went out there and put their lives on the line for our country. And while we may not always agree with their politics, you will never hear us mock their service. You will never hear us find a way to make fun at them being tortured because we're not those type of sick individuals. I can't believe that I even really had to say that I really had to make that disclaimer. That should just be automatic. But it's not in MAGA's world. In their world, everybody gets a pass for every low blow in the world. But until next time, you guys keep tuning in here on MeidasTouch and we'll keep telling you the truth.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.